I feel like I've been so many versions of myself, I don't even know who I am. And I feel like a fraud and I feel like a liar. Who am I? Hey friends, and welcome back to the Why Would I Say That podcast. It's your girl Tiara, and today I want to get really real with you guys. By the title of this podcast, I look like a liar. Well, I feel like a liar. I don't think I lied. I think I'm just doing what I can with the information I have. I just feel like a fraud. If you're new here and don't know anything about me, I struggle with borderline personality disorder. And what that is the instability of moods, behaviors, and relationships. We're kind of unstable over here. I'm pretty sure your moods, behaviors, and your relationships almost make up your entire life. So that's cool. There are so many things that borderlines struggle with, but the thing that I'm struggling with right now is shifting identities and not feeling like you have a personality and not knowing who I am and feeling like a fraud. No matter who I am, I kind of feel like I'm putting on a front and I don't know why. And for the longest time, I did not know what this was, and I didn't even know my identity was shifting. I've learned how to manage this a lot better, but I always like to tell you guys, I'm going through it with you too. I'm not exactly healed. I don't think there's like a perfectly healed human or whatever, but I am like also struggling with BPD, and this is something I still currently struggle with. So I'm like, well, let's talk about it. I personally learned more from someone who's actually went through something that I have and not just speaking on what they would do if they were in my position. You're not in my position. You don't know what you would do. So I don't know. That's why I share what I share. So let's talk about how I don't know who I am or what the heck is going on. There is 9 criteria in order to be diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, but the one that I'm mainly focusing on today is shifting self-image and struggling with your identity. As someone with BPD, I have been 1,000,005 versions of myself. I've been popular. I've been a loser. I've been a burnout. I've been sporty. I've been the teacher's pet. I've been the problem child. I have been the perfect child and, again, the worst child ever. Yeah, and it's really hard when you've been every version of yourself to know who you are. I'd be confused. What made me think about making this episode was sometimes when I make the content that I make, because I do now have a lot of followers on TikTok and Instagram, and now here, I feel like because I'm not healed, I'm like, why would they listen to me? But then I always go back and remember that I wanted somebody like me. I wanted somebody to like talk about these things in public. I wanted someone to make me feel more comfortable with myself. So that's why I do what I do. But sometimes I just like, I don't know, I have like imposter syndrome or something. Like, this is not who I am and what I'm supposed to be. Or like, no, it is what I'm supposed to be. That's not what I'm saying. I love doing what I do. I never want to lose this. I love you guys more than anything in the world. But I don't know. It just feels weird being here. I don't know. But sometimes it does get to my head, like what I should be posting, what I shouldn't be posting. Sometimes I'm like posting stuff. Do I even like this anymore? Do I not like posting this anymore? And it really just messes with my head a bit sometimes, especially because I deal with BPD. Now, I'm never going to give up. I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep going. So don't think this is like the downfall of my social media. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to annoy you for ever if I can. So don't think I'm going anywhere. But sometimes that does get to me. Like, I don't know who I am or what I'm doing. And then I post something and I look at it the next day and be like, oh, I don't like that anymore. Who is she? I don't like that. And that's what made me think about making this podcast episode today. So still struggling with my identity and everything, which I feel like I have more of a normal headspace than like, I guess my sickest point on this. Like, I'm able to manage it and not go into a spiral like I used to. I mean, sometimes I'll be spiraling. If you follow me on TikTok and Instagram this week, I was spiraling. But no, with this, I can kind of ground. I know my values. I know what I like about myself, what I don't like about myself. Like, I do know who I am, but like sometimes I just be feeling like I don't know who I am. I don't know if that makes sense. If you have BPD, I feel like it'll make sense. I just don't be knowing, but I be knowing. You know? Do you be knowing? I don't even know how to word this right now. If you don't know what identity disturbance is to a T, it's okay. I got you with the scientific definition. Because I know sometimes I don't be making sense. And I don't know how to explain things because I'm also still going through it, but I try my best. But we're going to use the Google for this one. Identity disturbance in BPD is when your sense of self feels unstable, inconsistent, or unclear. Instead of having a solid idea of who you are, your values, likes, dislikes, goals, and personality, it shifts depending on your circumstances, moods, and who you are around. Isn't that fun? And what this can look like is changing your style, your hobbies, your opinions, feeling like a different person when you're in different relationships, having an extreme career or life goal changes sometimes overnight, struggling to answer who am I really, and feeling like you're constantly performing versions of yourself. That's me. We laugh because we don't want to cry, okay? So that's a scientific definition. That's what it can look like and how it may appear in your life. I feel like a lot of the times when I am struggling like this, I feel like people think that I'm lying or I'm being fake. I have a hard time mixing my friend groups because of this. Like, I have one friend and then I have another friend. I feel like I'm two different versions of myself when I'm with these two different people. So when I mix them together, I feel like I'm fake and I'm a liar, and I just feel like a shell of myself because I'm like, how do I act? Who do I be? What do I do? And I feel like the people around me think that I'm fake and I'm lying, and I feel like it comes off weird. It feels weird. It's like I'm living a double life, except everyone knows that I'm living a double life. I just don't know. It's so weird. It's giving Hannah Montana in this. I don't know. Like, if you see somebody from the outside perspective, I feel like they look at me like, okay, you act this way around this person, but you act this way around this person. You're being a liar and you're being manipulative. But that is not the intent at all. I feel like this is how BPD gets so misunderstood, and the word like manipulative, they're being manipulative and being mean, and just they're just all over the place. This is where like sometimes the misconception gets thrown around. This isn't coming from a place of manipulation. This is coming from a place of craving understanding, craving connection, craving to just, in the most nicest and respectful and like valid way possible, it comes from a place of wanting love. I feel like we maybe were raised or were in an environment for some time that we were taught to be kind of people pleasers and to don't make other people uncomfortable and to make yourself uncomfortable in order to make these people comfortable. And now that we learn that behavior, that's kind of what's comfortable to us, even if it is uncomfortable. That now when we do go into other rooms with other people, if we don't act how they act or say the things that they say or have the opinions that they have, it almost makes us uncomfortable. And we also don't even know our opinions, because every room that we go into, it was always someone else's opinions, because don't step on their toes, don't make them uncomfortable, be a shell of yourself. At least that's how I feel. That is my opinion on it. I don't know. That's just, I don't think that this comes from a malicious standpoint. I think it comes from a place of, I'm going to be honest and say it from, I guess, my own projection of how I internalize these things. I feel like it comes from a place of neglect. Like I've neglected myself for so long. I don't know how to be there for myself. So I'm going to be there for you, because that's how it feels like being there for me, because I don't know how to be there for me, because I don't know who I am. Because again, I was taught to make everyone around me happy, but who cares about me? I don't know. That's just like my little rant about it. I didn't even plan on going on that little rant. That's just how it kind of feels. So in my opinion, it is not anywhere near about manipulation. It is about a sense of belonging. I really don't think that borderlines try to shift their image and their identity to the people that are around them to manipulate them. They don't know who they are, and we're struggling here. We're trying to figure it out, and we're trying to connect to you, because maybe we will find a piece of ourselves in there. And I feel like that is like a never-ending cycle with BPD, because you can't do that. You can't search for yourself in somebody else, but it's like, it's just how it feels. Or like searching for yourself in other things, like it sucks. And I feel like right now, because I'm like in a really good space, I have built my life up to being really good. But what if I go around someone that's not good? What if I'm actually a bad person and don't know it? And I feel that way a lot. Like I built a lot that was really, really good, and I'm very protective of that. But what if a bad person or a bad thing or a bad substance or a bad anything comes around, and what if I'm actually a bad person because I'm starting to mirror that, and I'm trying to find my identity in that because I actually don't know who I am? That's like a really big fear of mine. I built all this and I've been doing really good for so long, but I've done this a million times. I've gone from really good to being really bad, and I just so I'm like, it can very much happen again, and that's why I'm so aware. And I feel like a lot of people will tell me like, oh, you're doing so good now, like, oh, you don't have to worry about that anymore. But I do, because I remember the very first time my identity shifted. I was the most perfect little child that I think that I could be for being a child. I never got in trouble. I was getting straight A's. And then it was like an overnight switch. I ended up being mean to people. I ended up failing all my classes. I ended up doing really risky behaviors, and I've never done that before. And then one day I decided to wake up and I was like, I'm better than that. And then I decided to be all good. And then I was probably like 15 at the time, and I went back to playing my sports and showing up to practice, showing up to school every day, trying to get good grades. And then one day I woke up again and I was like, who cares? What is this even about? And I decided to get D's and F's and hanging out with older men, skip all my practices. At this point, screw going to school, and then ruin my life. And then I went throughout high school doing the same thing. Then after that, I decided to be like really good in college. And then I went on a whole bender and ruined my life again. So as much as I would like to sit here and say like, I've done it, I'm healed, I'm managing, I'm helping hundreds of thousands of people now on this point between multiple platforms. But I think it'd be extremely ignorant for me to sit here and say that I'm healed now. Because I know damn well that one day in like a year or two, I could end up in a bad situation again. And all I did was mirror the behaviors around me. And now I'm a bad person. I'm a bad person. And it's so scary. And it messes with me. And I'm very protective of what I'm around. But I'm human. I'm not perfect. There's going to be times where I'm more vulnerable than others. So it's going to be easy for me to fall back into this if I'm going through a time of vulnerability or going through a time of hurt. And to sit here and lie to myself and be like, I'm the strongest human in the world. I will never be vulnerable like that again. And no one can ever hurt me again. That's ignorant for anybody to say. I never ever want to come off as that. And I don't know, even though I am in a pretty relatively good place, I still struggle with this. And sometimes my hobbies do somewhat shift. I loved reading last year. I cannot get myself to read right now. I loved journaling last year. I don't journal as much as I used to, and I don't know why. And I do look at it in different lights and stuff now, and it's like, it's weird. And it's fine for your hobbies to come and go. Like, that's completely normal. But it's like, it's really weird because I feel like my whole perspectives change when I change. It's not that like, oh, I just don't like doing that anymore. I will be here today and swear that I hate it. I've never liked doing that, even though I love doing it then. It's like, I literally believe that. And that's the craziest thing about it. Like when I switch hobbies and I switch habits and stuff, I cannot grasp onto the fact of other perspectives from that I was living before. And I don't know how to explain that other than in these words and the way that I'm explaining it. And I'm not even sure if this is coming out right. But on the bright side, yes, there are some people I don't get along with, but I do think a lot of the people that I'm around, I can click with them. I just need to talk to them for a second. Like, I can blend in any room. I know how to read a room. I know how to play my place at the time. And it's cool or whatever, because a lot of the times it makes me a little more comfortable. Like, okay. And sometimes a little more confident. They're like, okay, I've lived every life that you could live. So they have a perspective that I can somewhat agree upon and we'll be able to click. But the thing is, when you have no one around anymore and the people are gone and you don't have plans for the day, there's no set plan, you don't know who you are or what you want to do, and it makes you feel guilty. And not even like the guilt of just like not knowing who you are. You feel guilty around your friends for not being the same person, and it's weird. And like that guilt and shame loop within yourself leads to isolation. And it leads to a lot of like loneliness, like not even just like being physically alone. I could be in a room full of people and feel alone because I don't know who I am, but I don't feel understood in those rooms. I feel alone in those rooms because I understand you and I'm trying everything in my power to understand you. And yes, this is my fault, I know, but I feel like no one understands me. But the thing is, how do I get somebody to understand me if I don't know who I am? Thank you, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this podcast. If you know me, you may know that I have borderline personality disorder, or you might just know me as the emotional girl on your For You page. Either way, it's taking me so long to learn what feelings I'm even feeling, let alone manage them. Therapy, like learning DBT skills, have truly changed my life. DBT, which stands for Dialectical Behavioral Therapy, has given me practical tools like mindfulness, distress tolerance, and emotional regulation. Those skills have gotten me from being completely controlled to my emotions to actually learning how to manage them. And that's the reason I'm able to understand my emotions, put them into words, and then share them with you. I know how scary that feeling can be to take that first step, especially when you're dealing with emotional chaos. It may seem easier to just push it down or to figure it out alone, but you don't have to. Having a professional in your corner can make all the difference. If this sounds like you, I have been sponsored by BetterHelp to give you 10% off your first month. Use my code betterhelp.com/TiaraLorraine for 10% off your first month. BetterHelp is accessible to anyone, anytime, anywhere, making help more accessible than ever. Whether you prefer phone calls, text messages, video chats, all options are available so you can get the help that works best for you. Again, that's betterhelp.com/TiaraLorraine for 10% off your first month. Now, back to the episode. Being a borderline sucks sometimes. And you know, that cycle and that loop sucks. Okay? It's not fun. It's not fun. I don't like being like this at all. I don't like being mysterious. Make it stop. Please. And the thing is, this doesn't only just affect your personal life, which sucks already. It can affect your professional life and every area of your life. Okay, my identity shifts. I loved this job, right? I love my job. Tomorrow, I hate my job. I hate everyone here. Everything sucks. I don't like it anymore. And now I'm ruining my job. Now I want a new job. And then maybe I start a new job. And then I realize, hey, I burned the bridge from before. And I actually hate this new job. The grass was not greener. And then you just be switching back and forth. And I feel like that's a big reason borderline struggle with jobs. Our identity shifts. We don't know what we want. And once we get what we think that we want, we don't want it because we didn't know. And then we don't want it. And then, I don't know. That made us sound like brats, kind of. We're not brats, I swear. We don't know who we are. We're emotionally hurt and like it's just not clicking in our brains, okay? Like I swear, we're not brats. It just don't click. We don't have the click like the normal people do where it just clicks sometimes. We don't have that click. I do want you to know it is so possible to start learning things about yourself. I might not know everything and like exactly know who I am. I think over time, like that really does change, even if it's a normal person. But the drastic shift shouldn't be happening like they do in borderlines, or we wouldn't be borderline, you know? We wouldn't have a personality disorder when we wouldn't be disordered if this wasn't happening, you know? But it is happening. But I want you to know, like, you really can, like, figure out things about yourself. I might not know everything, but I finally do know some things about myself. And I want to give you some tips to walk away with after you listen to this that maybe you can sit with that might help you with your identity. And if you have anything that you would like to share that might help someone else, please leave them in the comments down below. It helps me, it helps people around you, and sometimes even reflecting can help you realize things that you didn't realize before. So if you're willing to share, I would love to hear what has helped your identity, because we all need help, and that's okay. And if you can admit that sometimes you need help, you're actually stronger than the people that can't. So don't be like, I'm so strong because I don't need help. No, you're actually weak. So share. This one's a given. And I'm sure everyone in the BPD, in the mental health community, no matter what community that you're in, if you deal with mental health, hates hearing this. Okay, we're just going to start off in the one that everyone hates hearing. Therapy will really help you. When you have an outside source telling you things about yourself, you start to learn things about yourself that you didn't learn before. Because a therapist, yes, they should care about you and your well-being. That is a good therapist. But they should be able to point things out to you that maybe other people aren't willing to point out. Good and bad. So when you have an outside source saying like, oh, you do this a lot, you're like this type of person, or, oh, I see that you enjoy doing this, it sometimes makes little light bulbs go off in your brain like, oh my God, wait a second. I do like doing that. You just had to tell me. So like therapy is extremely helpful in so many areas. And I genuinely believe a good therapist should not confirm your bias. And I feel like with BPD, I don't think we have a bias because we change so freaking much. Yeah, I feel like someone with BPD should have a really good therapist. It does take us a lot longer to find a good therapist compared to the normal person. But I think if you do have a good therapist that can point out certain things to you, good and bad, it can help you teach yourself about yourself, learn what you do like, what you don't like, and what you want to stick and what you don't want to stick. You start to learn your values and stuff through it as long as you work with the therapy. You can go to therapy all day and do nothing and listen and just not actually take in anything or take any tools out of it. And of course you won't get better. But if you actually go in there with a plan and a goal and a way to execute and things you want to learn, you will take something away from it. So therapy. I know no one likes to hear it, and everyone always says it. If they're like, oh, how do I help BPD or anything? They're always like, therapy. It's the most basic cliche answer, but like, it's basic for a reason. It be working if you find a good therapist. Really. And honestly, start calling yourself out. There is certain times that I've been in certain situations where I'm like talking to someone and I'm like connecting with them. Like I'm mirroring them or whatever. And I'm like, I'm getting along with you. But I'm saying things to you that I don't necessarily believe in to make you more comfortable. Start thinking about that. Start being more aware of that, because eventually over time, it'll start bugging you and then you don't really want to do that. And it's cost you so much more energy to mirror other people. It doesn't stop the behavior completely, but it does help you gain awareness and it starts bugging you. And eventually you're just like, what do I like? Because this person's pissing me off and I actually don't even believe in this. Takes time, easier said than done. The first few times you call yourself out, you might not do anything different. You might still people please, because Lord knows I do. I'm not perfect and I still do this a lot. I have a problem with trying to make the people around me comfortable, okay? I will literally set myself on fire in order to make you more comfortable and so you're warm. Start pointing it out when you're doing these things and why it's harmful to you. Like start trying to break it down as it's happening. I know that sounds weird, but just pointing it out to yourself, you'll start to like dial it back a bit and be like, oh, wait a minute. I don't even want to be here. I don't want to be around these people. And I'm starting to learn my values, because sometimes you have to learn what you don't like in order to learn what you do like. So start pointing it out. If you know when it's coming out of your mouth that's not actually your opinion, because that happens to me a lot, think about that. Sit with it and try to figure out what you're going to do for the next time. Again, easier said than done, because I am a little bit of a people pleaser and it is my downfall, but it is extremely helpful for me to do that. And it's honestly made me not be in as many bad environments anymore, because I'm like just pointing out to myself, like, that's not necessarily what I want. It's what they want. And I'm just trying to make them comfortable. So I sometimes used to do risky and bad things to make other people comfortable. But now that I know this and I keep pointing it out, I try to stay away from things like that, because I'm learning things about myself. Even if I don't know who I am learning my triggers and the awareness of some things. And hopefully I'm helping you too. And then this one's a little more random and a little more niche. Something that I realized as I got older, childhood me knew what she was doing. Like, she knew what she liked. She was just bullied out of it. Childhood you probably knows what you like. Look at what you liked as a child. When I was younger, I loved making videos for my mom on her little flip phone. And I loved recording my voice for her on her MP3 player. I always used to be like, hey mom, this is what I'm doing today. This is what I'm eating right now. And I would like just give her little updates. And I now have put that into my life today. And I'm like, I guess that's a part of my identity. Little me knew what she was doing. She knew what she wanted. Like, and I do relatively like doing it. I used to roller skate when I was younger, and I might sound weird, but I do like roller skating now. I used to like doing gymnastics when I was younger. I've taught myself how to hold my handstand and stuff now, and like do some front handsprings, and I've just like learned more. I don't know, just looking back on your childhood and like looking on things that you used to like, you might like them now. You just got away from them because maybe you were bullied out of them, or maybe you felt like you're too old to do those things, or I don't know. But just like looking back on our childhood, look at the things that you did like, maybe revisit them now and have fun. You might learn things about yourself like, oh my God, I like this. And this is the thing I've learned about myself that I like. And now guess what? It's part of your identity. Whoa, little you probably was cooking in that kitchen. She was just probably bullied or was mean to or just like grew out of it for some time or just forgot about it. I don't know. But little you probably does know. And I feel like you should ground yourself sometimes in those ideas. Little you knows. Okay. We love helping our childhood selves. We love feeding the soul. When my self-image shifts now, I don't necessarily try to stop it anymore. I just try to be more aware of it. Because when it does shift, it really does feel like that's your perspective at the time. And it does really feel like that way at the time. But I just kind of let it happen. But I try to remind myself of my values. I try to explore the hobbies that I do currently like at the time. And I just try to reflect and just be a little more aware of what I'm doing, what I'm taking in, who I'm around. I just try to be more aware of the situation. And it actually helps so much. And with me doing that, I actually kind of figure out who I am along the way. Because if you are in a place where you really don't know who you are, because Lord knows I've really been there. I really have. Before I started the social media thing, I really didn't have an inkling about who I was. I at least have like this much. And it be shifting sometimes. But there was a time in my life where I didn't know who I was and I had to go out in the world and get experiences and kind of mirror other people to figure out what I did and didn't like. But it really did help me, and just being aware, like in the back of my brain, like, do I not like this? Am I agreeing with what I'm saying right now? Am I agreeing with what they're saying, or am I just trying to make them more comfortable? And it makes me more aware and helps me figure out which rooms I want to be in, what things I want to be a part of, and the things that I just like to do. I don't know. Shifting self-image really sucks, and it's really hard to navigate, and it's really hard to articulate. So I hope I did somewhat of a good job in this, because even when I was like driving here to like make this podcast, I was like, I don't even know how I'm about to word this. So hopefully you get it. You guys usually do. Like, thank you guys for always understanding me and getting me, because sometimes I'd be sounding like a crazy person, and at least I felt crazy for so long when I wasn't sharing. And now that I share, I'm like, oh my God, we're not crazy, or we're just crazy together. I don't really know. I really just want to thank you for being here and understanding me, and yeah, just making me feel less alone. And I hope I do the same for you. That's the goal. That's the plan. It's always a two-way street. You guys help me as much as I help you. And just thank you for everything and always understanding me. And hopefully this one wasn't a hot mess, because sometimes I don't be articulating the things I need to articulate. But we're trying here. We're trying. I'm just a girl that's kind of crazy, and I don't know what I'm doing sometimes, but I try. And I think that's all I can do. You know, that's all you can do. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you're not missing a video every single Friday. And don't forget to hit that like button. Hit the likes. Hit the likes. It triggers the algorithms. And we're trying to make the algorithm. Because I know there's some more crazies that need me. We're not crazy, okay? I just like to make jokes. But yeah, help me help the algorithm so we can help each other. Thank you. And if you're listening on podcast, make sure to give this podcast a 5-star review and to leave me something nice below. Again, help me find my community. Help me help others. Two-way street, and we're all helping each other. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I love you guys more than anything in the world. And until next Friday.